As we look at the current state of the world around us, there are probably more questions than answers right now. If you're anything like me, then that is absolutely the case. I have so many questions and so few answers. And one of the big questions I try to ask again and again and again is, what can I learn from everything that's happening right now? This eventually will be over. We're going to get through it one way or another. What are the lessons I want to take with me? And more importantly, what are the lessons that I want to share with others as I have children that are growing up and I have others that I seek to influence? What are the lessons that are important for me to get a hold of so I can hand those off to other people? There are a lot of lessons. I think the biggest one that I'm learning right now, or relearning, or maybe just re examining, is the lesson of personal responsibility. Now, I try to be someone who is responsible for myself. I try to take responsibility for the things that I do and the things that I say and the way that I behave, et cetera, et cetera. I try to do that. But on a much larger scale, I think that I, just like a lot of other people, am willing to let others be responsible for me. We're looking at incredible government intervention in our lives right now, more than at any other time in my life. Right now, we're living under a government that is not only providing for us financially, or doing their best to provide for us financially. They're doing that because they've decided we should not be working. So that's one thing. They've shut down businesses. They've told people they need to stay home, but it's going to be okay because the government, will provide for us financially. We have other levels of our government. We have the state governments and the local governments, not only telling us when we can work and where we can work, and not only doing their best to provide financial resources to us, but they're telling us who we can visit with, who we can see, how we can worship. All of these things are being pushed on us by a government that most of us trust to take care of us. Now, you may be watching this and you can say, well, that's your first problem. You were trusting the government to take care of you. Look, I'm a guy who's constantly saying, don't trust the government to take care of you. I write, don't trust the government to take care of you. I teach my children, don't trust the government to take care of you. But when you are faced, as we all are right now, with a crisis, created, manufactured, or otherwise, a crisis like the one that we're going through right now, you really see clearly how much you do or do not trust the government to take care of you. Why is it that we're seeing a run on stores and people are buying things that they don't even really need, let alone care about, but they're afraid? Why is there a run on stores? Because for so long, people have trusted the government to take care of them. If something bad happens, the government will take care of me. And they've lived that way, and they are now responding to the way that they've lived. We are all complying with what the government has told us to do. Again, I'm not arguing the validity of that one way or the other, but we're complying because we believe the government has a plan and we need to buy into that plan, and we need to get to the other side of all of this, and the government will lead us out. And I know that on a lot of this, we don't have a choice. I'm not super confident the government has a good plan for us to go forward. But right now, I'm in a position, as are many of you, where we don't have a choice but to comply with a lot of the things that are going on around us. I can't control all of that. But what I can do is step back and get some perspective on this. I can ask the question, how responsible am I for my own life? How responsible am I for my own life? Am I living a life of personal responsibility? Now, let me back up and build to where we are right now. In the organization for which I'm a part, the Mighty Oaks Foundation, we work with men and women who are struggling with trauma and dealing with some of the most amazing, in a bad way, things that you can imagine. These situations you could not even comprehend that are happening to people right now. It's a crazy thing. But they're dealing with these situations, things that have happened to them. And we do our best to help people walk through that. And the place that we start is the place of personal responsibility. We say, well, before you can move forward, before you can get beyond this situation, you need to accept responsibility for yourself. You need to do the best you can with what you have. You can't blame other people for the situation that you find yourself in. You may not be able to get past in a memory or a relational kind of way some of the things that have happened to you. You can't always go back and repair those things, but you can be responsible for where you are right now. The only way to move forward is by accepting responsibility. I can't change what happened back there, but I can be responsible for what's in front of me, and I will be. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to be responsible. We talk about relationships and how in relationships we can't blame the other people in the relationship for all of the bad things that have happened. We need to be responsible for ourselves and control what we can control if we're going to have the type of relationships that we need to have. Personal responsibility. In the area, the arena of leadership, we talk about personal responsibility. What is a leader? A leader is someone who is responsible for the things that go on in their world. They take responsibility. They control what they can control. They help other people get to the place that they really need to be. That's what it is to be a leader. It is to be responsible. We know all of that. But when it comes to how we live our daily lives, how we earn and save, how we prepare for something like this, the decisions we make, whether or not we experience the overwhelming fear and anxiety that so many people around us are experiencing. You know how you deal with all those things? Personal responsibility. Be personally responsible for how you prepare and how you work and how you save and how you treat others. Be personally responsible to look down the road and understand I won't be able to control everything that happens. My government is going to do some things that I maybe don't necessarily agree with, but I'm not going to be dependent on them for how I function and the things that I do and the places that I go. I'm going to be responsible for myself to the very best of my ability. I will control what I can control. I will be responsible. Personal responsibility. You know, when you decide that you will be responsible for yourself and responsible for the stuff in your life and that you'll control the things that you can control, you take a lot of pressure off of yourself because you don't back yourself into a corner of dependence on others. You don't back yourself into a corner where if other people don't make good decisions, you find yourself in a bad situation. A lot of lessons to be learned right now, certainly. A lot of things that can be said, a lot of probably looking back that we'll do in the months ahead. I don't know how all of this is going to unfold. I don't know how all of this is going to come together, and neither do you. But the big lesson for me, and there are a lot, but one of the big lessons for me is the lesson of personal responsibility. Doing what I can with the resources that I have so that I'm not dependent on others to take care of me. Now, we're in the middle of a storm right now. We're in the middle of the fight. But when we get to the other side of this storm, when this fight is over, we need to remember there will be another one. And we need to use the period of relative peace and calm and safety and security to prepare. Here's the question. What does that mean for you? In your life, what does it mean to be responsible? Personally responsible for everything in your life. I hope that's a lesson that you're taking away as you watch the events of our world unfold.